Hello friends, welcome to Pranic Core. We got 30 minutes of core action. Small warm up, a breath practice, and then 20 solid minutes of just excruciating, devastating, muscle building, strength building core exercises. We want to think about the abdominal wall being squeezed in and contracting, especially on the exhale. So on the exhale, we pull the Uddiyana Bandha in, the diaphragm in, and then inhale, we expand. Let's get started. Start on the knees, sitting on the heels. Squeeze the legs together. And try to squeeze the heels together so the glutes are active here. Start opening the chest and start working the hands back. Working the hands and maybe the elbows to the ground. Not to our deepest posture, but just open and close. Walk the hands back up. Walk the hands forward. Reverse. Kind of doing a dynamic warm-up here. Opening and closing. Warming up the spine. Warming up the shoulders, and it gives us time to arrive on our mat. Gives us time to transition from the outside world and our inner kind of workings, our inner sanctum. What are we going to work on? Because this is really a mental practice. We are moving the muscles, we are moving your body in certain positions, but we're really working with the mind. Open the knees wide. Child's pose. We're not here long. Immediately on the exhale down, pull the chest into the earth. Inhale, push into the heels of the hand just a little bit. Exhale down. Inhale up. Last one, pull down into the earth with the chest. Reset. Push into the hands. Bring the knees back together. Come up into a Malasana squat. We're going to rock back and forth here. You can move the hands to coordinate. Try to get that lower part of the back kind of engaged and loosened. If you've been sitting down all day, that's the real test piece there to get this thing warmed up. This QL region right here. I mean, that thing will get stiff. With that stiffness, we have lack of circulation. Now walk the feet through. Become like a limp noodle on the ground. And from this limpness, thread one of the hands underneath the lower spine and see if you have a space. See this space right here? This is what we want to pull down to the earth, that lower back, with the pelvis being flexed. So we're going to flex the pelvis upwards, and we're going to seal that spine to the earth. Now we're going to extend the pelvis. Extend the tailbone out, and it's going to round the back. On the inhale and on the exhale, pull the center of the spine down. Inhale, round the spine. Down, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale down. We're going to work a lot with this pelvis extension and the pelvis flexion. The pelvis is flexed up. You're engaging the abs, and the pelvis is extended. We're opening the abs up. All right. Grab the knees, roll up to an easy seat. Get in the very center of your mat. So even within our breath practices, we're trying to create a certain geometry to the body and certain geometry of where you're at in space. So notice if you're not square to your room. Notice if the mat is kind of tilted. Maybe the light is kind of tilted. So we're working with a lot of things that you may not think matters, but ultimately every single aspect of your practice matters, down to what sort of fabric you're wearing and what sort of mat that you're sitting on. It's creating a relationship. Grab a hold of the knees and inhale the spine straight upwards. And then exhale, relax just a little bit. Inhale the spine straight up. Exhale, relax. Inhale up. You may not even be able to see the spine growing, but imagine the spine growing upwards where you're getting just a tiny millimeter taller. And then exhale down. Our breath practice today is Surya Vedana. So we're going to inhale through the right nose and exhale through the left. We're going to use our Surya finger, our sun finger, and our thumb. The sun finger is going to plug up the left side so we can inhale through the right nostril, and then use the thumb to plug the right nostril and exhale left. We're going to make sure we get full inhales and full exhales with a little bit of vigor. This is going to heat up the system, and this is going to bring us into like this ready to go kind of situation with the body. You might even have this kind of rattling kind of feeling that we need to start moving. But we're going to be here for 3 minutes. So make sure that you might want to sit on a block if you can't keep the spine straight, because we don't want to have this posture where we're rolling forward and we're squeezing together the diaphragm. We want the diaphragm, this area here, to be as wide open as possible, so we can get a lot of breath in and out. All right. Close the eyes, roll the eyes up and in. We got 3 minutes. Inhale right nostril. Exhale left. We want a pretty fast pace, but we want to make sure the inhales and exhales are with our full lung capacity. Make sure the body's not jumping around. The spine isn't jumping around. Everything is kind of still except for the diaphragm. Body might start to tingle a little bit. You might get a little bit lightheaded. If you can handle that, keep going with the pace that you're on. It doesn't necessarily have to be my pace, but look into your own capabilities and follow your own breath pattern, your own breath rate. Inhale right nostril, exhale left. Repeat. really pulling in the power of the sun, the heat of the sun, to warm and prepare the body. We got about 30 more seconds. Keep going. Increase the breath pattern if you can. Go for it. Inhale right nostril. Exhale left. Release. Sit in this kind of limbo state of just euphoria of what just happened. Focus third eye. And slowly blink the eyes open. Make sure you know exactly where we're at. That felt good. You should have a rush running across the body, maybe even sweat already. Press into the hands, downward facing dog. Pedal left, pedal right. Move the hips. Try to get a little circulation going. Root down in the hands. Don't move from this downward facing dog position. Move the right hand closer to the right foot with a little teacup near the right foot. Lift the left leg. Mad dog. We'll be here for 60 seconds. Now the hand could stay on the ground or the hand could lift near the hip. Keep extending the fingers out and extending the leg out. It helps me to look at my right big toes. And if you fall out, come right back. We need to immediately start to ramp up the breath to hold this kind of spinal twist. Challenging our breath, but challenging our mental state to immediately go into it. Release, downward facing dog. Move the left hand, reach it far back as you can to the back of the mat. Teacup the fingers. Try to look at the right foot and lift the left foot now for mad dog. Sorry. All right, press up in the downward facing dog. Pedal left, pedal right. Extend the right leg out 3 points. Stay in this downward facing dog shape. Start walking the left hand back near the left foot. Mad dog. So the hand can stay rooted on the ground, or ultimately, if you want the full challenge, the full effect, lift the left arm for this spinal balance. We'll be here 60 seconds. Immediately start calling in the breath. The focus has to get laser sharp. Reset, downward facing dog. Extend the left leg as high as possible and start walking that right arm back. 60 seconds. Hand rooted or hand lifted near the hips. 20 more seconds. Push into the palm of that left hand, really push hard. Focus on this breathe, this breath, this breathing action of your body. Be witness to something that's amazing, the human body. Reset, downward facing dog. So we're staying in this mountain climber setup with the hands, but the feet are running into place. We're gonna be here for 90 seconds. Try to look at your feet behind you. And keep driving the knees into the chest. Try not to let the shoulders come over the arms like this. Really try to stay in this downward facing dog position so all the weight is in the legs. Immediately the breath is going to spike. Run faster. Breathe harder. Release hands and knees. Elbow plank. So place the right elbow on the ground and move into a side plank. So the legs are opened up like a tripod, 3 points of contact. Place the left hand on the ground and just work the hips up and down. We're gonna find our full range of motion here, working the obliques a little bit. So lift the hips as high as possible. Now if you want, lift the left hand at the hips. Continue. Release, elbow plank. Roll up onto the right side. The left elbow is going to stay on the ground. And we're going to have the right hand teacupped on the ground. The feet are wide, so we have them on kind of like a tightrope. And we're going to lift the hips. Try to lift the hips on the exhale. Inhale the hips down. Now that we've kind of gathered our full range of motion, move the right hand, put it on the right hip, and just get that work in. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to elbow plank. Hands and knees. So I'm calling this one a doggy paddle. The right arm is going to be doggy paddling forward, and the left leg is going to be doggy paddling. So we're kind of undulating forward. "60 seconds. The front arm can be a little bit soft, so we're kind of lunging forward with this rotation of the shoulder and the hip at the same time. So the spine isn't straight. The spine's kind of undulating like a snake. Have the gaze almost straight down, maybe a foot or two ahead of you. Reset. Left arm's gonna lift, kind of goalpost, and the right leg's gonna lift, kind of peeing dog position. Undulate forward. Like you're moving through water. With each round, make sure you're reaching a little bit higher. So we're not getting smaller as we're getting weaker. We're getting bigger. We're getting stronger as we get going. Power up the breath. Release, hands and knees. Walk the feet through. Roll all the way back. The legs are going to be fully extended. Notice where the lower back is. We want the lower back pushed all the way down. The head is going to be resting. Hands are going to be kind of scooped behind the ears. Lift the legs 90 degrees and lower the legs as low as you can while keeping the lower back on the ground. So if you lower them so much that you get a space, come back up a little bit. Wherever you can hold the lower back down, we're going to go from there. Flutter kicks. So a very small flutter, maybe a 12-inch range. Squeeze the abs together here. Push the lower spine down. For me, it's a little bit easier to lift the chin and lift the shoulders a little bit to engage the abs, but the head could be resting. Wherever you're at, just flutter. Don't let the lower back come up. So you don't want this. You don't want the arch. You don't want this space. Push the lower back down. Keep fluttering. 30 seconds. Hips to nips. Squeeze in this area. Release. Sit up on the glutes. Reverse plank. So press into the heels and point the toes like you're trying to press the bottoms of the feet on the ground. Walk the hands back. Make sure the fingers are pointing towards the toes. Lift the hips. Once you get the hips positioned and your hands kind of positioned at your highest kind of proper height here, we're going to rock the hips left and right. Keep the toes pointed the entire time. Make sure the glutes are turned on. And here's going to be a little bit of a recovery. We got 90 seconds. If it's feeling difficult, walk the feet out a little bit further. But keep the tension in the feet. My feet are already cramping. It's a good sign that you're working something that you haven't did before. Working something that's weak. If we get a cramp going, just work through it. Just keep moving. 30 more seconds. The whole mat is sliding towards me. Release. Back to that flutter kick. So start the legs at 90. Pull the abs together. Push the spine down. Start lowering, keeping that spine nice and tight on the ground. Flutter kicks. This time we're going to flutter the arms as well. So reach the hands towards the feet. Double flutter. So as we're reaching forward, the shoulders are off the ground. Don't crank the neck too much. If you have to, pull the neck back just a little bit. If the neck starts getting fatigued a little bit, some strain starts happening in your neck, just neutralize your gaze. Look more straight up instead of towards the feet. Keep going. All right, last 30 seconds here. We want to double time the flutter. So stiffen the arms and stiffen the legs, kind of like a tuning fork, kind of move faster, but a smaller range. Keep pulling the spine down. Release. Ooh-wee. All right. Pull the knees into the chest. Roll up onto the glutes. We're going straight into a reverse tabletop. So place the hands a little bit wider than your shoulders and about 6 or 7 inches behind your shoulders. Press into the ground with the feet. Lift the hips straight up. So your table should be nice and flat. So you can set like some coffee table books on there, or maybe you have your roommate come in and sit down. But this is our inhale position. And then on the exhale, drop the glutes to the ground. And like we're doing a sit-up, but don't move the hands and don't move the feet. Exhale, sit up, reach forward as far as you can over the knees. And then inhale up. Exhale, glutes down. Exhale forward. Inhale up. Exhale forward. Reverse table crunch. And on that exhale, make sure you pull out every bit of air by squeezing the abs together, squeezing the hips to the nips. So the tailbone is tucked underneath. Release. So come into a seated pigeon posture, bringing the right leg, the right ankle over the left knee. Once we have this position, lower all the way down and take the right foot all the way to the ground. Twist open with the right shoulder for a sit-up. So we're going to sit straight up. There's a little bit of a twist action happening here. Make sure we're sitting up on the exhale. I prefer the hands behind the ears. You can pull on the ears as hard as you want, but if you put the hands behind the head, you have a tendency to try to lift the whole torso with the head. It's not what's happening here. We're isometrically contracting the abs. So at the top, we squeeze and then release. Let's start to slow down the tempo here. So we get that isometric contraction at the top, that maybe 1 second of squeezing and then releasing. So try not to be rotating towards the legs. Try to rotate straight up. Release. So extend your legs out long. Have the hands near the hips. We're going to raise the hips and push down with the heels. Hips up, heels down. So you can press down with the hands and kind of press into the back of the neck and the shoulders to lift the whole body. So we don't want the legs bent too much. We don't want to be here. We want the legs straight. With the toes pulling towards the face. I realized that I placed my timer at the wrong position. I need it floating overhead, so I have to keep cranking my neck to see how long we got to stay in this posture. It's those little things. It's the little bitty movements that you do throughout the day. It might be you sitting at the computer and having to turn just a little bit to look at your clock entirely all day long. It takes a toll on your body. These little bitty patterns that we got to work through. Release the hips. All right, this pigeon pose kind of posture for sit-ups on the right side. So take the left leg, put the left ankle on top of the right knee, drop the left leg all the way to the right. Spin it open with the chest so the left shoulder tries to stay down the whole time, and we're just going to do sit-ups here. We're looking for that slight pause, that isometric contraction where we're holding on the exhale at the top. Start slowing down the tempo. Make sure you get that contraction at the top. Pull the navel in and then release. Release. Whoo-wee. All right. Pull the knees into the chest. Rock forward and backwards. Come back into the center of the mat. Boat pose. So this is our high boat position. The feet could be parallel to the ground, or they could be, if you want to get you some, just stick the legs straight up. Extend the arms forward, but the chest needs to be up, and we want a small portion of room in between here. So we're going to go high boat to mid boat. So this is high boat. We're going to lower down, not all the way down, this mid section, mid boat. Back to high boat. Inhale. Exhale, mid. High boat. Exhale, low, mid. High boat. Mid. High boat. Mid. High boat. Mid. High boat. Mid. One last one. Now inhale. High boat. Exhale, mid. Lower all the way down. Low boat. Keep the shoulders lifted, legs lifted. Reach with the hands. Exhale. All the way to the mat. We've got one more exercise. Half rollbacks. So extend the legs out. Point the toes. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, sit up. So we're going to roll all the way as far as we can go without fully rolling all the way back. So we're going to inhale, and then we're going to start slowly exhaling back. At this point, we're going to hold a small isometric contraction, and then we're going to lift back up. Inhale. But don't lift all the way up to the resting posture. Lift to about a 10-degree tilt. Inhale. Exhale, half roll back. Hold. Inhale up. Exhale, half roll back. Hold. Inhale up. Exhale back down. Keep exploring how far you can lean back without rolling all the way onto your back. Keep a heavy contraction. Last one. Slowly start rolling back. Exhale. 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 Tuck the tailbone under. Exhale. Exhale. Release. Grab the knees into the chest. Rock forward and backwards. Roll on the spine a minute. A sigh of relief out the nose, out of the mouth at the same time. Roll up to an easy seat. Close the eyes. Bring the hands to Namaskar. Melt the thumbs into the chest. Just sit in complete gratitude. Sit in this, hopefully, moistened environment of the skin, your space suit. You put it through a lot of work. You put it through a lot of change. Take this change into the world. Take this determination. Change things for the better. Brighten someone's day. Make someone smile. Hold a stranger's hand. Bring the thumbs to the third eye. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace be with you. Namaste. Thank you, friends. Let the day begin.